Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler. I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we will be visiting one of my favorite places to have a drink and eat a meal and visit with friends. It's in the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta, and that is Bar Frida. We're going to be talking with Tom Finley, the owner, and also I just returned from my latest visit to Puerto Vallarta, where we celebrated JR's 82nd birthday. I had a wonderful time staying with my buddies Debbie and Ray at their home in PTL, right in the middle of PTL. And I'll talk a little bit about that and the latest trip. We have Vallarta news and more, so let's get started. Let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 13th day of May, 2022. I guess the big news is that the mask mandates are dropping in the state of Jalisco. The governor of Jalisco made an announcement the other day proclaiming an end to the use of face masks in the fight against the nasty corona pandemic. From Mexico News Daily, dated May 10th, 2022, the use of face masks is no longer mandatory in public places in Jalisco, with the exception of public transit and healthcare facilities. Governor Enrique Alfaro said Monday that the decision to lift the mask mandate was taken after consultation with health experts. He said that it was possible because the spread of the coronavirus has been controlled in Jalisco, which includes Guadalajara, and tourist destinations such as Puerto Vallarta and the Lake Chapala area. The reality is that the numbers tell us that we're doing well, that we've made progress and the pandemic in our state has been controlled, Alfaro said. The governor said the state is currently recording an average of 59 new cases per day, whereas the average over the past 2 years was 819. He said that just 21 coronavirus patients were hospitalized, and there were only 19 COVID-related deaths last month, the lowest monthly total since April of 2020. These indicators make us think that we can take a step forward with care, with awareness that this hasn't finished, Alfaro said. He advised people with coronavirus-like symptoms to use face masks, and he noted that there's been a persistent demand in schools for the mask mandate to be lifted. Now with the heat, using a face mask has been an enormous burden for girls and boys, Alfaro said. He said his government understands that people are tired of face masks after 2 years of continuous use, but warned citizens not to drop their guard. Alfaro said he was confident that the decision to end the mask mandate, which officially concluded Tuesday, was the right one and that coronavirus case numbers will remain low. Several other states have dropped mask mandates, at least for open-air spaces, including Baja California Sur, Baja California, Mexico City, Tamaulipas, and Nuevo León. Mexico went through a large Omicron-fueled fourth wave of infections that peaked in January with almost 1 million new cases recorded. I was one of them. The health ministry said Tuesday that the pandemic was continuing with minimal activity, noting that there was an average of 370 cases per day over the past week. Mexico has recorded over 5.7 million confirmed cases since the beginning of the pandemic and more than 324,000 COVID-19 deaths. About two-thirds of the population is vaccinated, a figure that should soon increase as the government is now offering vaccines to all children aged 12 and over for some reason. And I have a link to that article from Mexico News Daily. You can find them in the show notes. And, of course, I was wondering, with the mask mandates dropping off in airports and on airplanes in the U.S., if I was indeed going to have to mask up on a Mexican airline. And sure enough, I was required to wear my mask on my flight from Tijuana to Puerto Vallarta, which I did via Viva Aereo bus. Both at the Puerto Vallarta airport and the Tijuana airport, they were required as well. And this trip down, I did what I've been doing for almost a year now, and that's flying out of Tijuana via CBX or Cross Border Express. I take a charter bus to the facility that's built right against the wall, which separates the United States and Mexico, and directly adjacent to the Tijuana airport, where I paid a cross to walk over a walkway from that facility, from the CBX facility in Otay Mesa in San Diego, California, over the wall and down into the Tijuana airport. And the reason I've been doing it as well, one of the reasons is because the flights are cheap. The crossing, doesn't require that you have a stick put up your nose to go back and forth. So I kind of prefer to go that method. But so that's how I did it again. And this trip, I took my friends Debbie and Ray from Alberta, Canada. I took them up on their offer for me to stay with them anytime. So, Debbie. Debbie is from earlier podcasts. She is known as Cheap Debbie. And I actually had Ray and Debbie on the show, a couple years back. We talked about them buying their little casa in Pitial. And I got to tell you, I had a great time staying with friends, staying with Ray and Debbie. They're so hospitable. They're so kind. I had tacos. Debbie would go down to the corner taco stand, and she would bring tacos for breakfast. And, that taco stand evidently is pretty popular. Every time a cab would take me home, they would say, hey, that's the best taco stand in PTL, They actually sounded kind of jealous about it. Of course, that made me feel pretty good. Anyway, Debbie made me a couple of home-cooked breakfasts, which was so great. I never get those when I'm in Vallarta. I mean, I don't cook for myself when I'm in Puerto Vallarta, so it was really nice. And they had a neighbor who was a cab driver, so it was a cinch to get a ride just about anywhere. But if he wasn't there, there was almost always a cab waiting right across from the big church, right in the middle of town, right in the middle of that town square in Pitial. And that was just about 2.5 blocks from their house. So it was really handy. And it was funny. The cab drivers, they were pretty amused to have a gringo, ask them, hey, how much is it to take me to Central Pitial, late at night, right? From the Malacan or from the Romantic Zone or whatever, to take me home. And, I had some great conversations with these taxistas. The ride took about a half hour from the church in Pitial to Tile Park. And the price ranged from 100 to 120 pesos each way. So I was spending $5 or $6 every time I hopped in a cab to go from town into Pitial. So not a bad deal. I only went back and forth, once every day, so it was no biggie. And I took Ray and Debbie to one of my newest, favoriteest restaurants in Puerto Vallarta. And it's a destination restaurant. I've talked about it before. It's over in Colonia Ixtapa. And the restaurant is named La Tienda Grande, if you recall. And Jeff Musto, the PV Kid, he's the guy that introduced me to the restaurant. So I wanted to interview the owner, and I contacted Chef Salvador Carrillo, who is the owner and, the head chef over there. And he said, "Hey, Barry, I'm I'm in Saudi Arabia. I won't be back till July." So I asked Salvador, "What are you doing in Saudi? Opening a restaurant?" And he goes, "See, yeah, in the Emirates." So, this is the kind of restaurant we're talking about. This is why I really like this place. I mean, you get this local boy, hits the big time. I hope he actually makes it back to Puerto Vallarta. But in the meantime, when he gets back, I will get the interview. But in the meantime, don't wait to eat there. You need to go right now. Get over there. You can eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner there. Again, the place is called La Tienda Grande. It's in Ixtapa. And if you go on Sunday, like for Sunday brunch, you'll drive right through the Tangis. They have this big, huge open air market over in Mojaneres, and you'll drive right through there. This Tangis is it's long, it's deep. I mean, it's like 4 blocks deep. It's many, many blocks long. And anything you want, you'll be able to find at this particular huge yard sale, okay? Big Tangis. And make an afternoon of it, Go on a Sunday, get over to Ixtapa and have some yummy food. Also, in Ixtapa, there's a place called Casa de las Orquídeas, and it is a beautiful restaurant. It's just lovely, surrounded with orchids, right? Casa de Orquídeas, orchids. And the food is delicious. I think Jeff Musa is going to talk about it pretty soon. So we'll hear him. Anyway, I can't say enough about Ray and Debbie's fine hospitality. It really, it's nice to have someone to chat with after a long day of traipsing through town and holding microphones to people's faces, It's very cost effective too. So thank you again. And I actually received a few offers of places from a few out there. You know who you are. Anne and Russell and Ellie and Hillary, you all offered me places to stay. And just thank you so much for your kind offers. It means so much to me. It really does. It's very touching. You guys, you got no idea. I always get a happy feeling when someone I don't know recognizes me, and it happened one afternoon over at Cuatecicuetes. I sat down, and 2 listeners, Andy and Andreas, the 2 Andrews, they sat down and said, "Hey, are you Barry Kessler?" And bought me a beer, thank you, and dropped me a little bit of weed. Thank you very much for that too. But Andreas told me that he had an incident where he'd been drugged. At least that's how he, had interpreted it. So if you're listening, Andreas, send me that story. But at any rate, I say this now because there happens to be an inordinate amount of drinks spiking and crazy stuff like that going on around town. Not to mention the pickpockets out there, and the mustard squirter guys, and the way that you do this with your drink is you need to basically protect yourself from someone slipping a Mickey into it. You got to have total control of your drink at all times. Don't leave your drink on a bar and turn your back or whatever. You need to hold that drink, hold it in your hand until you suck it dry. Take it with you to the bathroom. Anyway, Andres, send me your story, amigo. And thanks for listening, and thanks for, the smoke and the beer. I really appreciate it. And also, speaking of appreciation, Marty and Janine, thank you for your kind hospitality. Marty had some very smooth tequila for sipping, and, he had a great ocean view right there on the 6th floor over the Plaza Mar. And I will put a picture of that sunset that I saw from Marty's balcony. I'll have that in the show notes. And next week I will have Marty talking about his trip, their trip to Tequila, and we'll find out how that went. There is another event coming up at the port over at Puerto Magico, brought to you by our friend Edgar Rivas, the Taco Festival guy, the Ceviche Festival guy, the Raicilla Festival guy, the Agua Chili Festival, the Festival guy. You know, he's been on the show a number of times. We've heard his voice numerous times on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show talking about these festivals, and he has a new festival. It's an exhibition, really, and it's called Sabores de Vallarta, Exhibición Gastronómica, and it's the Flavors of Vallarta Gastronomic Exhibition. And from their Facebook page, I will read. It's an excellent opportunity to try a wide variety of styles of food, recipes, and flavors that our beautiful port offers us through the different restaurants we will have participating at the event. There will be mixologists, music, seafood, tacos, aqua chili, raicilla, local beers. And if you have been to any of Edgar's events, you know that you are guaranteed a really good time. It's going to be over at Puerto Mágico. It's going to be Saturday, May the 28th from 2 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night. Parking is free. Entrance is free. Just get on over there and enjoy some great food. You're going to have to pay for the food, but it will be at reduced prices, and you'll get to try food from restaurants from all over the Bay. It will be really a great event. And actually, this weekend, on the Isla Quale, they're pouring raicilla right now as we speak. They are having a raicilla festival. It's going to be Friday, today, May 13th, until Sunday the 15th. They don't post the hours. I don't have them there. So just be aware that there's going to be moonshine being served over on La Isla Quale, and it's happening this weekend sometime. And speaking of Isla Quale, I'm going to have a guy on. His name is Guy Weeks, and I'll have him on the show next week. He has spearheaded a Quale Island restoration project. We toured the island together, and, wow, I had no idea the amount of sand and junk that the river had left on that island after Hurricane Nora hit back in September. Anyway, we're going to talk with Guy next week, and we will find out all about his project, which is basically bringing back that part of the island, to its beauty once again. It is that time again to vote for our favorite botanical garden for the USA Today 10 Best list. The Vallarta Botanical Gardens are up against some pretty stiff competition, and currently they are standing at number 3 as far as the votes are concerned as they come rolling in. But there is still time to get them to number 1. I have a link in the show notes. The counting stops in 9 days from today on the 22nd of May. So get over there. I have a link to the voting. You can find them in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. So get over there and let's get them to number 1 on the list. I believe you can vote multiple times for them, at least once a day. So put it on your Google Calendar and do it once a day. A few weeks back, I mentioned the arrest in Mexico City of one of the co-owners of the bar District 5 in Puerto Vallarta, where the former governor of the state of Jalisco, Aristotle Sandoval, was gunned down. I think you remember that. He was taking a piss during a night of partying and drinking with associates. And that arrest led to an incident that happened in Marina Vallarta, where allegedly some cartel folks were hanging out. And at any rate, the Marines and the National Guard found and shot and killed a dude known as Saul N. Chapas from the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. And they also captured a couple of his guys in the process. So this happened just a couple of days before I flew in. I think it was the 24th or the 25th of April is when that happened. So I had a feeling, and I'm sure the rest of the town was on edge, that there would be some sort of reprisal, some sort of a get back for the killing of one of these cartel leaders. And so it did happen. Actually, May the 1st, 2 female National Guard personnel, apparently on vacation, were abducted. And the result was a flurry of helicopters searching for them. But then a couple days later, they were released unharmed, and apparently they were released in exchange for some dudes, those dudes that they captured at the marina with the cartel guy. So I don't know. The whole thing seems a little bit sketchy to me. I mean, the fact that these female Marines were, you know what? I'm not even going to say, but a little sketchy. You read the story and it's like, what? But then also on May 1st, there was kind of an interstate and inter-cartel gun battle going on in Mazamitla between the Jalisco New Generation gang and the Pajaro Sierra cartel. That all happened over on the border of Jalisco and Michoacan. And that actually caused me to change my plans for a ride up to Talpa and to Mascota. So I didn't get up there. I just figured it was safer to stay off the highways and out of the mountains during this time. There is still a big red safety warning, a regular alert for Puerto Vallarta from the United States State Department due to the cartel presence and the violence. But hey, I did see a lot of National Guard troops. They're all over the place. They were even cruising the streets in Pitiao, where I was staying. So there's a big military presence all over Puerto Vallarta. The 18th edition of Restaurant Week by Vallarta Lifestyles is coming right up. It takes place from May the 15th until June the 10th. And participating restaurants have a fixed menu, kind of a fixed price, and it's basically designed to give the common diner, like you and me, a taste of a restaurant that you might not have tried due to the cost, or just you never got to it. There's just too many places to eat in town, right? It's a good excuse actually to get out and dine and try a new place. And I have a link to the participating restaurants, or you can look for the Restaurant Week banner, which will be in the windows of participating restaurants all along the bay. So look for that and enjoy some restaurants during Restaurant Week. And also keep in mind that if it's May, it's gay in Puerto Vallarta. The Gay Pride Week is here, and the Gay Pride Parade is making it back again. Finally making a comeback. The parade is scheduled for May the 26th at 7 o'clock. And if you want to participate in the parade, you need to sign up now, if you haven't already, because time is running out. The parade contest talks about, here, let me read about that. Every entry will be judged on the following 3 criteria by their judging panel: best originality, best energy, and best theme. First place gets 15,000 pesos. Second place gets 10,000 pesos. And third place, 5,000 pesos. To qualify, you must be a registered parade entry that has applied and paid your entry fee, as well as you must complete the parade to the very end of the route. And I have a link to that application form in the show notes. And the parade route is, if you're interested, of course, is from the Sheraton Hotel parking lot all along the Malecon and into Zona Romantica. And let me just read really quickly the week's events as they're scheduled. We show Tuesday, May 17th, March for the World Against Homophobia. And that leaves at the Sheraton at 7 o'clock in the evening. Wednesday, May 25th, Pink Dinner, Pride Kickoff Vallarta Pride at the Pink Dinner fundraiser for Vallarta Pride at Top the Almar Resort with stunning ocean views, and that will be at 7:30 over at the Almar. Let's see, then we have the after party for the Pink Dinner. Wednesday, May 25th, you have lesbian meet and greet party. That will be over at Oculto Secret Dinners by El Arian. Then on Thursday, May 26th, Vallarta Pride Parade will be here. And like I said, that starts at 7 o'clock, and they begin over at the Sheraton, and then down the Malecon and into the Romantic Zone. I have all that list right here in the show notes. You can find them at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And while I was in town, I had the opportunity to catch up with some old friends who you'll be hearing from in the coming weeks. As I said, it was JR's 82nd birthday, and it's not often that I get a chance to spend a birthday celebration with JR because his birthday is one day before my wife's birthday. But this year, JR actually was having his party on the 28th of April, so I was able to make it. I arrived on the 27th, so I moseyed on over to the Gringo Loco Cantina over in the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood over on I Madero. And Larry has got a great band playing there, I think 2 or 3 nights a week. It's called Paranoia Rock Experience, and they're really good. And if you get a chance to hear them, I suggest you give them a try. And anyway, it's amazing. The live music in Puerto Vallarta it's incredible, really. And I recorded a couple quick clips from JR's party. And I'm going to apologize to you, JR, and to everybody else. By the time I stuck the microphone in his face, he was pretty wasted. Everybody was buying him drinks. He had 2 birthday cakes, by the way. And then when he got back home, he sent me a little message. He says, I found a bunch of things in my pockets. Maybe you can explain to me what some of these things are. So next day I went over and, yeah, he had homemade gummies. He had special brownies. He had cosmic cookies and assorted amounts of weed. And what I'm trying to say is, well, you'll hear from JR, but just briefly, okay? Anyway, speaking of JR, I tell you this every week at the end of the show, but I want to remind you that JR does sell tours on his website. It's over at vallartainfo.com. Just remember him before you book a tour anywhere along the Bahia de Banderas. That's vallartainfo.com. And that's where you'll find JR's website. At any rate, let's go. Let's go right now to JR's party over at the Gringo Loco in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Let's hear a little music and let's have a little fun.
Where can we watch it tonight?
Here we are with the birthday boy. How you doing, JR?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine too. What do you have a lot of friends. This place is packed with people that like you. What's the deal? So, happy birthday. How old are you now, Day?
82.
82. See, I got that wrong last time I talked to you guys because, we lost a year somewhere. I don't know how that happened, but we lost a year somehow. But happy 82nd birthday, brother.
Okay, so...
at JR's birthday party. Look at this. It's the PV Kid. How you doing, brother?
Hey, doing great. Doing great. How you doing?
Doing good. So what's going on? How are things going on in the rental business?
It's surprisingly busy for this time of year. I haven't been this busy ever down here in April, and I have strong reservations into May and June. And next October is already filling up for people excited to come back. So it's been a very different year, a lot busier than it normally has been.
So that's a clue for all of you guys if you're thinking about staying at the Plaza Mar. And what's the other property?
Plaza Mar and Vista del Sol.
Vista del Sol. So if you're planning that, October's already filling up, so you gotta think ahead, right?
That's for sure. That's for sure. People are very surprised when they go to make reservations and email me and say, "Boy, I thought I'd have a lot of choice coming in October, and there's not a lot left."
Okay. All right. So for you people who like it hot and come in October, take note. Any new restaurants or anything? Every time you tell me about a restaurant, it's always a gem, dude. So, anything new going on?
The latest one is in Ixtapa for breakfast. I think it's called the Orchid House. The whole place is filled with orchids. It's beautiful. They grow them there. I don't know if they sell them or not. I didn't see any for sale, but there are orchids everywhere, and the food was wonderful. They got great waffles.
So they do breakfast their own. I think they close at 2 o'clock, don't they?
I think that's it, 2 o'clock. I went for breakfast, and I think it was 2 o'clock when they closed up.
All right, that's very cool. Have you been to the new Bonito Kitchen?
Yes, the new Bonito Kitchen in Old Town. The food is as wonderful as the last location. This location has a back... plaza or a back seating area. It's sort of half outside, half inside. Very nice, very friendly, very good atmosphere.
Very good. Well, everybody get on down, see Francie, and check out the Bonito Kitchen, the new one here, after the other one was kind of destroyed.
Washed away.
Washed away, unfortunately. Jeff, always a pleasure talking to you, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Barry.
Manny, thanks for talking with me today.
No, you're very welcome.
Tell us about your band. What's the name of your band?
The name of the band is Paranoia Rock Experience.
And how long you guys been together?
With the alignment that we have right now, it has been just probably 1 year by now. But the band exists since I was 16 years old. I'm 38 right now. So.
But you've been playing since you were 16.
Yes.
And it's always been the bass?
No, at the beginning I used to be actually a drummer. The first couple of years I was a drummer, and then I started playing the guitar and singing. And then 10 years ago, when I got into Puerto Vallarta, I started playing the bass and singing.
Well, you do a great job. I got to tell you, you shred on that bass, brother.
Thank you so much, man.
Where are you from, brother?
Mexico City.
It seems like a lot of people that are here playing in bands are from Mexico City.
Well, there's people from all places. It's a really good place to live, so...
You've been here for 10 years?
10 years.
All right, so where do you play? You play at Gringo Loco. Where else do you play?
Gringo Loco, we play at Wingman. It's down there in the Malecon. And, the season already ended, but we used to play at Winston's. And we have been, working around. We used to play at Blake's, Cafe Roma, a couple of places more.
Excellent. Well, I got to say, you guys are great. I'll have your information in the show notes. You can find it at www.puertovallartravelshow.com. I got to tell you, it's nice talking to you. It's great hearing your music at JR's party. I really appreciate it, Manny.
No, thank you so much.
Okay. An hour and a half into the party, Jeff, the PV Kid, and I actually walked up to another event that was taking place the same time that JR's party was taking place, and it wasn't far from Gringo Loco. And since we had both actually RSVP'd for this particular party, We took a quick break from JR's party and we walked over to the Seahorse restaurant. If you remember the Seahorse, we've been there before. That's Raul's Italian place. It overlooks the Plaza de Armas right there, right next to the church and right across from City Hall. And what do you know? Chrissy the Brazilian was holding one of her monthly Mingles events. And this event it had a carnival theme. A carnival theme, I guess you would call it. It was very well attended with lots of good-looking, well-dressed people mingling and sipping cocktails and, talking about this and that and enjoying paradise. It was a beautiful event, and you could tell that there was actually some planning involved, right? They just didn't throw some napkins down. There were decorations. It was very nice, and I hunted down Chrissy. And I asked her if she would talk with us, and she said yes. So let's squeeze in and let's talk with the lovely, the bubbly, the brilliant Chrissy the Brazilian over at Seahorse Bar and Cocina in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
They know me.
So we're here today at the Seahorse, and I'm with Chrissy, the Brazilian. Chrissy, thanks for talking with me.
Welcome. That's now they know me. I have been living in Puerto Vallarta for 2 years. I'm born in Brazil, but I came from Santa Monica, California, where I lived for 31 years. Half America, half Brasilia. I came to Puerto Vallarta. I fell in love with the culture, with the people, with the dance, with the family, with the magic. And then I came, it was COVID time, I was walking, and I started making videos of the places that I loved. And I had the idea, why not starting a group to connect people, that people can come to meet, connect, interact, no discrimination for everybody, because that's what we need. So I have my events once a month, but I also promote other events in Vallarta from other people, because I have people that come here, they don't know what Puerto Vallarta is. They are people from Europe, from United States, from Brazil, from Asia, and when they go to my group, they see not only my events, but they only see other events of the locals. Today's a party, Carnival Happy Hour, and for me, is my part that it's a joy. For me, it's wonderful to connect the people, to see them happy and dancing, and that's why I'm here.
That is absolutely wonderful, and you've got a wonderful group of people here. A nice mix of people, and some beautiful people, and it's amazing. It's amazing what you do, and I'm taken by all the effort that you've put into this. It really is amazing.
And Barry, for me, this part, I think the realization is the joy. I love Puerto Vallarta so much, and I love people so much that every time I have an event, next day I was like, wow, I just want to see the smile on people's faces, and that's what we live for. Enjoy the moment and connect everybody. Yeah.
Fantastic. Chrissy, I want to thank you so much for talking with me today. You'll let me take your picture, won't you? Because you're all dressed up for the carnival here. Thanks for what you do, and thanks. What you're doing here is amazing.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you and to know that you are here enjoying Puerto Vallarta. So thank you. You do a great job too. It's not a job you do; it's a gift that you do. Thank you, Barry.
Back at you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy. I told you she was bubbly. I mean, she even made me bubbly. Did you notice? I did. Wow. Anyway, I have a picture of her in the show notes, and I think I got a couple of pictures of the event. I'll take a look and see if I do. If I do, I'll stick them in the show notes as well. And I have a link to Chrissy's Facebook page called Puerto Vallarta Friends and Events Mingles, and that is in the show notes as well. So, if you want to go to one of her parties, check it out, follow the page, and you will know and get notified when Chrissy has an event. Chrissy was beautifully dressed in purple in a Carnival theme, and I have a picture of her in the show notes. You can find it there. And Jeff and I unfortunately, we were a little bit underdressed, so we cut out of there just about as soon as I finished the interview with Chrissy. Better planning next time, I guess. I have an email that I actually want to read from listener Matt. And while I was looking for Matt's email, I missed a couple of your emails out there. I'm really sorry about that. I will get to them right away. I'm going to read some of them next week. And Matt, I'll get to your email next week too. It's a great email that I wanted to share with everybody. Matt's got a great story. But let's get to our interview right now, shall we? I'm always looking for friendly places in Puerto Vallarta to sit down, have a bite, have a drink, and watch the world go by. Maybe even catch a friend walking past and stop and shoot the breeze with them. And I often find myself way up on Calle Lázaro Cárdenas towards JR's place, which is, JR lives on the other side of the bridge in El Coloso. And oftentimes I find myself over at Bar Frida. Now, Bar Frida has a very comfortable patio right in front with tables and shade. And it's really a great place to sit down and enjoy the world as it walks and drives by. Inside it's enclosed, of course. It's got white tile floors. It's got a little sound system and a stage area for entertainment, clean restrooms. It's a comfortable and safe bar. It's a great place to eat and drink and talk with people. I reached out to my friend John Diddick, who I knew the owner of Bar Frida, Tom Finley. And, Johnny told me when I could find him. And so I just slid on down and I quartered Tom. Not really. Tom was very generous with his time. So let's go right now. Let's go to a table, sit outside of one of the friendliest bars in town, and let's meet the co-owner, Tom Finley, Bar Frida, in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Tom, thanks for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, I was born and raised east of Toronto on Lake Ontario on what I call a mixed up and run-down farm. And I was involved in horticulture. I have a degree in horticulture.
Uh-huh.
So for many years I worked for the government doing some research in fruit trees, plums, apples, pears, peaches. And then I became involved with another company from Fort Myers, Florida. And they wanted someone to go across Canada selling cuttings of chrysanthemum plants to get that industry going in Canada.
Chrysanthemums.
So I did that for 20 years. I have been in every
Wow.
province in Canada, and I have been in probably almost every little village that people don't even know about, either driving, flying, walking, whatever. That was part of my job.
Yeah. So why did you come to Mexico? What's going on with that?
Curiosity, most of all. I read about Vallarta, and it sounded very beautiful. So the first time I came down was an exploratory trip, just to see if I would want to retire here sometime. I was much too young then, but you always look around thinking maybe someday.
Sure.
So I came down, and much to my surprise, my eyes were opened wide. As soon as I got off the plane, I felt like I had just returned home. I couldn't believe the peace, the serenity, the surroundings, the mountains, the ocean. And I had always been raised near the water. I was close to Lake Ontario. Then I moved to Vancouver, so I was on the ocean.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of water in my soul. So I fell in love with Vallarta. My first trip to leave Vallarta was terrible. In 1 week, I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to stay here.
Yeah. I want to cry every time I leave, too. I really do.
I used to cry on the plane, and the people beside me would be saying, "Oh, I feel so sorry. Did you lose someone?" I said, "Not someone. I'm leaving Vallarta." And they said, "This is what it's doing to you?" I said, "Yes."
Yeah.
I'm leaving Vallarta.
Does it to a lot of people.
And I did that for many years until I realized that I had my heart and soul was on Vallarta, and my business at that point was in Vancouver. So I had problems because I was a split personality. I was a split person. I had to get back to Vallarta. So I eventually had a flower shop. I leased it to my staff with a lease to buy deal, so I could flee to my Vallarta.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what year was that? When was that?
98.
In 98. And when was the first time you came here?
About 90.
About 90, okay.
About 90.
Yeah.
Took me about 7 years to start. If you put something in your brain that you want to be somewhere, your brain does the rest of the work for you. It gets you there. So it took me about 7 years to figure out how to get here and live here. I never thought about a business. I just the idea was to get here and then see what happens and see what takes place next.
Yeah. So when you did make that move, what'd you do? Obviously, the business went to the employees. You leased that to them with an option to buy, and then what'd you do? Sell everything and move? What did you do?
Well, I leased it to buy to my staff. It didn't work. They lost it, so I lost quite a bit of money because but I didn't care because it gave me my chance to get down here. I had to go back up once for 6 months to resell it and get out of it completely.
Okay.
But in the meantime, the first 3 years down here, I was just a beach bum.
Okay.
I was only 54. I was too young to retire, so I spent my time on the beach drinking beer and playing cards and playing with electronic games on the beach. And then I began to realize if I looked around at the people that were expats that were living here, and they were 65, 70 plus, most of them were aimless. They had nothing to do but go to the bar, go to the beach, and get drunk, and then stagger home. And at 57, I thought, this is ridiculous. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I have to find a new life, a new reason to keep living.
Yeah, because, that's you'd die keeping that thing up, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would be in rehab somewhere.
Right.
So instead, I became rehab. I bought a bar.
All right, so there you go. All right, well, that sounds like a really good solution to me. All right, so when you bought the bar, what was the name of the bar?
Actually, it was already called Bar Frida.
Was it? When you bought it, was Bar Frida?
It was Bar Frida.
Okay.
But it went bankrupt. And so, because they were bankrupt, I was allowed to buy the name too.
Okay.
And I had already met some of the staff, and I met some of the customers, so I already had a bit of an inroad. So I bought it and left the name Frida, because Frida's a very big name, Frida Kahlo. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to decorate. They didn't know how to promote Frida Kahlo. I went first of all, I took down all of the Diego paintings and switched the whole bar over to completely Frida paintings and changed the whole feeling of the bar. It was, instead of being a dive, I tried to pull in the customers that I had met over the years. I sent emails to everybody and said, guess what? I now own a bar. And, it's Bar Frida. And I figure at that point I knew 100 people, and if they all showed up, that's a good basis to start a bar.
Absolutely right.
No doubt. All right, so Bar Frida was located where?
On the very same street as here, Lazaro Cardenas, about 3 blocks just past the church, on the same side of the street.
Right. Okay, now, and how long were you at that location?
Approximately 9-10 years.
9 or 10 years. And then you made a move, right? You moved to another place on Los Altos.
Well, the first bar, we number them now. Bar Frida 1, the owner was very hard to deal with. He was a very, very wealthy man, and he didn't like change. He wanted the bar to stay exactly as he knew it 100 years ago. And we were growing rapidly. There was no kitchen. There was no second floor. The back wall was falling away.
Yeah.
So I approached him and I told him that I wanted to do all these things. Or I gave him an ultimatum. Or if I can't, I'm moving.
Yeah.
And he said, sorry, you go ahead and move. He said, you'll be sorry. As it turned out, 2 blocks away, there was a bar that had been closed for 10 years because it was a Coke bar. And so most of the owners and most of the customers had been carted off, and it was sitting vacant. And the day that I told him that I've made a decision, I'm leaving, I walk down the street and I look up and I see in the window for rent. So I immediately, the very next day, got in touch with them and found out that I could buy it. So we moved there. Another 10 years. And then we moved here just a year ago. So we're in our 21st year.
21 years.
We're pretty much the oldest. I won't use the word gay. We're the oldest bar that people love to come and drink at.
Yeah. From everywhere.
From everywhere.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Tell us about your menu, because it's not just a bar. You're serving food. So
No. We have a very good chef. He has university training, and he's an excellent chef. He prefers to do different foods from all over the country. And yet people come to this bar and they think it's a Mexican bar, that he should be offering all Mexican cuisine. But the truth is, he can do both. And he's also a pastry chef as well. So if we have a birthday or whatever, he can make a cake that's just amazing.
Wow.
He's a great chef.
So call ahead, right? You can call ahead for a birthday, right?
Absolutely. You get a birthday cake from him and range up. We can set the back area of the dining room aside, and that can be for private parties. And the air conditioner is back in that corner.
Nice. All right, so come on. What's the menu look like? What do you got going for? If someone came in here and wanted to get some appetizers, what's that look like?
For the appetizers, well, he does have onion rings and salsa verde. The menu, he has a daily change every night. One night he does shrimp, any style. He'll do a night of pasta. He does a night of cordon bleu. Friday night is steak night. And he has ribeye, T-bone, about 4 different arrachera, great steaks. Sunday night, it was barbecued ribs.
Nice. So is this like a fixed thing? This happens like every week that way?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the fixed menu, but he also has a full menu that you can choose from as well.
Yeah. Okay. So you got steaks. It sounds like it both Mexican and continental food, right?
He does chili relleno. He does. He occasionally does pozole. You never know what he's going to do. Last week he did tacos with shrimp and fish in them. If you just ask him, he will do a special meal for you. People that want to have a special birthday catered, he'll cater it for them, so long as he has the right to serve what he considers to be a true Mexican meal.
Okay.
And then he does a great job.
So the bar, you got anything special going on there?
Do you serve like raicilla out of there at all, or any funny alcohol?
Well, we've been specialing raicilla for 20 pesos a shot.
Yeah.
From El Tuito.
Okay.
And it's delicious. I love raicilla. I love mezcal. I love tequila. So believe me, if I'm going to serve it, it's something that I like.
Yeah.
I've already tried it. I won't offer you something that I think is not good.
Right.
So, because I want people to try everything out. I think if people are here on vacation for a short period of time, or if they plan to be here for a long time, you have to sample anything and everything that's available so that you get the true feeling of living here and being not one of the locals, but someone that appreciates where you're living.
Yeah.
It's
so
an
maybe
amazing.
you'll even cry when you leave Puerto Vallarta.
It's when I first had grasshoppers. I won't mention the restaurant, but I fell in love with them. I thought they were just wonderful. My partner, although is Mexican, he won't let me eat them because he thinks they're disgusting. I think they're wonderful. So he tells me, well, you've been living here now for like 23 years. You're more of a pataslada than I am, and I'm Mexican. I say, well, thank you. I think that's wonderful. I would like people to think that I am just part of the crowd. I'm just one more. I'm not a gringo. I'm not a Canadian. It's my town.
Yeah. Now, you and your partner have a great kind of a system going here. I see that you work the front. I see that he works the back. How does that work out?
It's basically our personalities.
Yeah. When I say the front, by the way, I'm talking about we're outside on a patio in an outdoor area right now, and inside, of course, is inside. So,
well, first of all, part of is code. We have some customers, me included, that still like a cigarette. So when we moved here, this was wonderful because we have the outdoor area for the cigarette smokers and the indoor area for the people that are purer. And I love hanging outside because I get to meet the locals, and I practice my really terrible Spanish on them. And they like the fact that I'm just part of the crew. They say, Tom, the days that you don't come in, there's a different feeling here. And my partner, he works the inside bar. He loves to be inside. He loves to play cards. He's not particularly that much of a talker unless he knows you. But if you just came in the door today and he's never seen you before, you might only get as much as hello. I'm probably going to come over and sit down at your table and say, hi. I don't know you yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah. The truth right there. What is now? You've run 3 places in town. Same bar, but different spots. How's that for you to do? Is it difficult with employees? Is it difficult with the city getting permits to do stuff? How is it for you as you're now a permanent resident?
Yeah.
So maybe you don't have that much issues. I don't know.
Oh, you always have those issues.
Yeah.
When I opened the bar, I opened it by myself. So here's this crazy white man who comes down here on the beach and decides to open a bar in Mexico. I did all the work my own. I went to the reglamentos. I went to still registration. I did it all by myself. And I ran into some problems, but eventually it worked out. And so within a year, I wasn't hassled anymore by officials dropping in to check and make sure that I had the right staff and the right money and the right bilingual signs. And so Luis, my partner, fortunately looks after all that now, and I have become more the ambassador.
Okay. Yeah.
He does the hard work. And
so he smooths the edges. He gets out there and does that.
Well, being Mexican, he has a head start because when a gringo also includes Americans and Canadians, so there is no difference. We're we're all somewhat in the same group. But if you come into town with a chip on your shoulder and you try to work with the bureaucratic bullshit in City Hall, they'll murder you. They will kill you. But fortunately, because I have Louise, when I get into a snag, and the same thing, our bartenders, we only hire bartenders that are young Mexican guys that speak 56% English.
Okay.
But they are basically Mexican bartenders, and everybody knows that. I would never hire a 100% English speaking. It just doesn't make sense. Because when I first moved here, I made a pledge to myself that because I loved Vallarta so much, all of my advertising would be directed into Mexico, not into all the newspapers up in the U.S. and Canada, but into places like Monterrey and Mexico City and Acapulco. That's where I aimed all of my advertising, because I wanted to be known as a bar that accepts Mexicans on the same level, that we're just having fun together, and it works.
Yeah, I can
It
tell.
works.
Yeah, you got a great mix of clientele. That's for sure. Every time I come in here. All right, let's leave Bar Frida for a minute. Let's go out into town. Let's talk about a couple things. Can I ask you a couple questions? Normally, if I've got somebody here in front of me and they're not a restaurant owner that does breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I start getting into that. But we're not going to do that. What I want to do is ask you, if you had a visitor coming that, I don't know, maybe he's coming on a boat, but you didn't have enough time to show him around, but you wanted to show him the place that most represented Puerto Vallarta, where would you take him?
You mean here in Vallarta or
Yes,
around? Well, I think if you really want classy dining in a beautiful surroundings, Café d'Artistes is the first one that would come to mind. It is beautiful. The food is fantastic. The surroundings, the music. It's a way to have a beautiful romantic evening or a birthday party. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I have other favorites too.
Yeah.
In fact, I love almost every restaurant in town, but that one is the one that comes to mind first of all.
Oh, yeah. It is beautiful, and they
Yeah.
do such a good job. And I love the violin over there. And the harp player.
Oh
my God, the harp player.
Exactly.
I almost had the harp player as the theme song for the Puerto Vallarta travel show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had two choices, Well, I asked two people, and I only got a response from one, and so, it's Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, I could tell you a story somewhat in the same vein.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you a little bit. My partner was a medical doctor living in Merida. And long before Grindr and all the meeting places, there was a phone connection called Date.com. And he was coming to Vallarta for a convention, a congreso of doctors from all over Mexico.
Uh-huh.
And so he decided that he might like to have a little bit of fun. So he put an ad on saying that he was coming to Vallarta on business, but he would like to meet some people while he was here. And he talked to me, and I told him I was very busy, but I would try and fit him in. And he thought, well, so much for that one. But he didn't get any other offers. So 19 years later,
wow,
my
Tom.
snippy remark.
That was it, right?
That worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you had a day off and you were going to leave town and come back same day, just a day trip, where would you go?
Maito. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be a full day, as full as you wanted, that you would, by the time the night was over, you'd be happy to go home and go to bed. But it's a fulfilling day. It is. It's such a beautiful location.
Tell us about what that looks like. You're leaving here. You have a car?
Yeah.
Okay, so you drive down
If not, I just call up Uber and have a driver. Say, I want a driver that talks and knows everything local, and I want to be entertained while I'm
Oh, really?
being taken.
You
Yeah.
can get an Uber like that? You can just
You can
do that?
You can ask around. You can find
Oh,
one
okay.
that will offer to do it for you.
Okay, all right.
So yes, you take it. Well, you go through all the small towns, Cabo Corriente, and then you go into the Tequila. Well, it's Raicilla, El Tuito, and then you go on to 27 kilometers of. It's barely called a road. It's a sand trail, and if the first time there's a little bit of a rain, there's a river going across it, and you have to ford it. You drive through it, and then when you get to Maito, you get to this resort that is unbelievably beautiful, with a hotel. The rooms are a reasonable price. The view of the ocean, spectacular. They have a good restaurant there. Adequate restaurant there. You can have breakfast there and lunch, but I always make sure that I save my dinner for candies.
Yeah. So you go to Tehuamixtle for your dinner.
I go over there because the food at Candies is just amazing.
Yeah. So when you go to Candies, everybody when they go somewhere, they go to order something, a dish. So what do you order when you go to Candies?
Two of them. I trust them so much that I ask them for the catch of the day, because they have their own boats, and they go, well, everything that you serve at night is something they just brought in for the day. So it's really fresh, and it varies so that sometimes they have dog shark. I mean, and I love shark meat. They have another one that.
Wait a minute. There's not sharks in this bay. Wait a minute. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's true. There are sharks in the bay.
Oh, I know. I just,
Why do you think the Coast Guard has a shark flag on it? The dolphins keep them out of the bay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So they say.
So they say. Yeah. Those dolphins, those hero dolphins.
Now, Candies is a wonder restaurant. They have the Mile High seafood. It's like a tower. I think it's called the Tower.
Uh-huh.
And it's almost a foot high, and it's just layers and layers of different kinds of seafood. If you can get through that for the evening, that's all you'll be able to waddle out of the place. But it's wonderful. And the service is terrific. The waitresses, I can still say the same thing. The waitresses are beautiful. I love it there.
Yeah.
And then you can go out and watch the boats coming in, and the pelicans flying all over the place. It's like stepping back 50, 60 years. It's a throwback. And there's actually a huge real shark that they have mounted out there, and you can go put your head into it and get a picture of yourself being eaten by the shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
And so you're home by midnight, right? You make a full day of this thing.
Oh, yeah,
right?
I make a full day of it.
Yeah.
I make a full day of it. Make sure you go in the morning early enough that you can get to stop on the little places, because there's many little places that have food out along the street. And there's one place that always has homemade fresh bread. Stop there and get some bread. When we get to El Tuito, there's a place called the Green Door that this lady owns. It's part of her house, but she has an oven inside. And she does gluten-free food as well.
Oh.
Hopefully she's still open. But if you're going to Maito, stop at the Green Door.
Yeah, and she bakes?
She bakes it all in an old brick oven.
Uh-huh.
It's just fantastic.
Cookies, like that?
Cookies, bread. It's amazing stuff.
Oh, okay. All right, the Green Door. All right,
Green Door.
I'll look for that, and I'll have it on the map. I'll actually have it in the show notes, so if you want to figure that out, I'll have it there.
And then you go to the hotel. And it really is, it's very magic, especially at night when they have the trees all lit up and the palm trees above you, and the waves are always rolling into those big rocks just like 100 feet out in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the sound effect in the back, and you have this lights all over the top of the ceiling. And
so which hotel are we talking about? The one over in Tehuamixtle?
At Hotel Maito.
Oh, Hotel Maito. Okay, of course, yeah. And we were at Hotel Maito a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
For a one-day trip, you come back completely refreshed. you forget about Vallarta and your bar and your business, whatever. One day at least you just go out there and it takes you a while to adjust to the idea. There's a lot more to Mexico than Vallarta. You just have to get out and look at it.
Yeah, and it's not far away either, is it, Tom?
It's not far away.
Yeah. How about 3 days? Talking about far away, what would you do if you had 3 days off?
If I had 3 days off, I'd have two choices. If I wanted to really get laid back in 3 days, I would go to San Sebastian.
Go up in the hills.
Up in the hills.
Yeah.
Again, you're stepping back in history. I go to a hotel there that was built in 1800s. The walls are 3 feet thick, and they have holes in them where they have to put the carbines through, because when the bandits were coming, they would put the gun through there and shoot them because that was a silver town. So they used to have a lot of silver in the hotel there, and so they were always being attacked. And they have a turret right in the middle of the place that has places all around it where they could watch all the streets. And now there's a bar in there as well. It's open on the weekends.
All right, what's the name of the hotel?
That is very difficult. I can't remember the name.
Okay, well, we'll find that too.
It's right on the corner, almost next door to the police station.
Okay.
Where if you want to,
you
can go in the police station and tell them that you're turning yourself in, and you can go into one of the cells, and they will close the gates, and you can get photos of yourself being locked up and in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're very daring, aren't you, Tom? All right, well, we'll find that hotel.
But if I had more than, I'll find it for you.
So what's that second one?
If I have 3 days, I would drive. I love Guadalajara, but even more than Guadalajara, I love Guanajuato. Guanajuato, not Leon. Guanajuato. Absolutely beautiful. Vallarta many years ago had a decree that everything had to be red roof and white building. Everything, the whole town. Guanajuato went the other direction. They said, you can paint your house, your business, any color you want, because that just displays your personality, the fact that you each have your own liking color. So it's like a gem. It's built up at the side of a hill, and the colors are all different. And underneath used to be mines, salt mines and silver mines, and they have turned that into a highway. And so you actually drive under the city, and you can look into the windows of some of the basements, because they're even down below.
Wow!
And they have an opera house. It's one of the most beautiful in the world. They have a statue there of a famous army man. But it's kind of like their idea of the Statue of Liberty. It's this huge statue of a man. It's a beautiful city. University city. It has, right now, this week, they have a festival on. Elizabethan actors and actresses walking the streets in full costume and singing. And they meet in little alleyways, and they have competitions. Whoever gets there first goes way at the back, and the next ones come in, and then they sing in turn, and they compete with each other.
Oh, wow!
It's a beautiful place. I love it.
Wow, Guanajuato. So do you drive? You fly? How do you get there?
No, you can't. You could fly into Leon, or you could fly into Guadalajara.
Okay.
But I do most of mine by bus.
Uh-huh. So yeah, hop on. What kind of bus do you take? Not Vallarta Plus, something in us. It's ATM bus or something.
ATM bus.
Yeah.
The Vallarta Plus is okay to get to. That's fine to go to Guadalajara.
Yeah.
But after I came down here, before I even bought the bar, I went on a 1 month trip through Mexico because I wanted to get familiarized with my new country, and I took buses way back in the early 80s, right down to Guatemala, and all the way back up on the west coast through Acapulco. So I have been in almost every little nook and cranny, and I love it. So when people come in here, the new ones, the Mexicans, and they say, Well, being a Canadian, you probably don't know much about our country. I said, try me.
All right, let me ask you something. If you had a word of advice for a first-time visitor coming to Puerto Vallarta, what would that be?
Might be more than one word.
Well, give as many as you want.
Well, don't cross the border with an attitude. Do not come down here with the idea that you are better than they are, because they can sense that in 1 second that you are looking down on them and tolerating them, which that really bothers them. And as well, I would also say, do not flaunt your wealth. If you have a Rolex watch that you wear back in Cincinnati, that's just fine. But if you wander down the street in the Malecon late at night with a Rolex watch, don't be surprised if it's not lifted from your arm. So do not advertise your wealth. Get rid of your diamond earrings and just dress like a normal person and act like you're normal. Say hello to people. When they say hola, senor, you say hola. They always smile at you. If they want to shake your hand, by all means, shake their hand. Yeah. You're a guest here, and they're very wonderful, loving, tolerating people. They really are. They're beautiful. But it's up to you to find out whether or not you can fit what they're looking for.
Yeah. So attitude is everything.
Yes, it's very important that you don't give any gestures or snide remarks or even side glances. You do that, they'll pick up on it very quickly.
Yeah.
How
about a word of warning? For somebody?
Well, having been here 23 years, I have never experienced any physical abuse. However, there are certain streets in town that have a history of a little bit of robbery or violence or whatever, especially after the bars close. So don't go to those streets. Yeah. If you stay away from danger, it's not going to come looking for you. You can avoid certain areas in town, and you can avoid some bars that are famous for knifings or whatever, but that's not where tourists go. So just stay away from there and stay in your own environment where you know you're safe. You'll be fine.
Good. Excellent. Great advice. All right, let's come back to Bar Frida. You're on Facebook or you're on Instagram. Where do we find you?
We are on Facebook, and we're on WhatsApp.
Got a website?
We have a website.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. And
yeah.
what's the address here?
It's 481 Lázaro Cárdenas.
Okay. All right. And
it's just down the street from the Catholic Church.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, everybody, you all know that I will have all that in the show notes. You can find it over at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. I'm going to have a picture of Tom's smiling face, even his partner, if he'll let me, if he'll stand still. And then what we will do, of course, is have the map that'll take you right to the front door of Frida's bar. Google Maps. So you have no excuse not to be able to find this place and sample their food and enjoy what I consider probably the friendliest bar in town. And I want to thank you so much, Tom, for coming on the show today and allowing me to introduce you and Bar Frida to my listeners. I truly appreciate that.
It's been my pleasure. I enjoyed your company as well, and I hope that people will try and find out Bar Frida and just find out why we have no tricks. We are just Bar Frida, but you'll love us.
All right. Thank you, Tom. I really enjoyed sitting out there with Tom, and you will too. Even if Tom's not there, you will enjoy sitting out in front of Bar Frida or in Bar Frida. Come on. Take your pick. Make sure you stop by for breakfast. They got breakfast, they got lunch, they got dinner. They got some great very, very clean food, good drinks, friendly service. And I got pictures of Tom and Luis, as well as pictures from the inside and outside of Bar Frida, as well as a Google map that will take you right to the front door of Bar Frida y Restaurante in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. All right, well, that should do it for today. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, like I said before, you gotta go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website. Reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, it's a value-for-value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying, thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else. So do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, JR's got his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. I have links to all of those in the show notes. And once again, if you like this podcast, take the time, follow, subscribe, give me a good review wherever you happen to be listening, or better yet, share with a friend that you think is going to get something out of this podcast, like a love for Puerto Vallarta. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to have a look there. I have links to the places that we talk about, interesting pictures, and more, all right there in my blog posts, and the show notes for each episode of the shows. Check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. Thank you, Tom Finley from Bar Frida y Restaurante, one of the friendliest bars in Puerto Vallarta. Hey, don't be afraid to stop in and have a drink or a bite to eat. Like I said earlier, I have pics, I have maps, I got it all to get you right to Bar Frida in Puerto Vallarta. They're right there in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you all to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta.